What's up, guys? It's Brandon Flash. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive on Tesla's vehicle lineup, talking about the Model 3, Model Y, Model X, and Model X, talking about what use cases make sense for each vehicle, the different specifications, which one you should buy, and talking about the different values of each. So we've got Tesla's website pulled up here. One thing I do want to mention is that right now Tesla is offering $500 off of Model 3 and Model Y and $1,000 off of Model S and Model X, as well as 3 months of full self-driving on any of them if you order through a Tesla referral. My link is down below, so if you're considering ordering one, I would highly encourage you to use a referral, whether that's mine or someone else's. Doesn't really matter, you're gonna get the same benefit. Obviously, if you find this and my other videos helpful, I would appreciate it if you use my referral. But here we have Tesla's website. They have each model on here in order from, I think from least expensive to most expensive. You have Model 3 here. They list these potential savings. So they have estimated gas savings and the federal tax credit, which in my opinion is a little bit sleazy, but that's besides the point. That's a topic for another day. The actual base price of the cheapest Model 3 is $40,000 or $40,240, which you can see down here. The Model 3 is Tesla's least expensive vehicle. It's a four-door sedan with a traditional trunk. It was targeted as a $35,000 vehicle. Today, we're pretty close to that when you factor in the federal tax credit. But Model 3 is an extremely compelling, extremely efficient vehicle that makes sense for a lot of people. However, Tesla does also have their Model Y, which is basically a bigger Model 3 in a lot of ways. It's a four-door hatchback, so it has more storage space, has a similar front trunk, a little bit higher ride height, a little bit higher seating position, and this has actually been the #1 selling vehicle in the world. So clearly the Model Y is doing extremely well, and for very good reason. I own one myself. It's a very compelling vehicle. But it is a bit more expensive than the Model 3 and a bit less efficient. But we'll dive into that here shortly. The Model Y, as far as list price goes, starts at $47,740. So about $7,000 more than the base Model 3. But we'll talk about inventory cars and some discounts available towards the end here. Next up, we have the Model S. So the Model S was the first vehicle that Tesla came out with. It's been improved quite a bit over the years. But today, Tesla's Model S starts at $74,990. They actually just slashed the prices. I believe it was about a $10,000 price drop. And the Model S is the most affordable it's been in quite a while, and probably the best it's been in a very long while. They did their Palladium refresh. I think that was about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago at this point. But it's a little bit wider, front end's been redesigned, new interior. It's a very nice vehicle. Not the most value-oriented vehicle, but that's not really the point of a premium sedan. But the Model S is a four-door sedan with a hatchback, so kind of fastback, hatchback. It has a hatchback that the space between the passenger compartment and the trunk is not divided if you put the seats down. It's one huge open area, and actually the rear glass lifts with the trunk lid, if you will. Also has a front trunk. Next up, we have the Model X, which starts at $79,990. And if you're familiar with the US federal tax credit available for EVs, you would know that as of this year, there's now an $80,000 price cap on that tax credit. So Tesla just recently dropped the price of the Model X pretty substantially and got it just under that price cap. And with the federal tax credit factored in, it's actually less expensive than the Model S. The Model X has the falcon wing doors, or what some people call butterfly doors, the gull wing doors, the ridiculous doors, just depending on what your thoughts are on it. It's a hatchback. It has power front doors as well, but they open in a traditional sense. However, they are power, so you can literally walk up to the car, the door will open for you, and then you get in, you put your foot on the brake, and then the door shuts for you. It's pretty wild, and it feels pretty premium. Also has the huge windshield, which at one point was the largest piece of glass in the automotive world. So Model X, it's a very flashy vehicle, I would say. It's the closest minivan-like product that Tesla has, but obviously at a different price point. Also has a front trunk. But let's get back up to the top here. We're going to start from least expensive to most expensive. Let's start with the Model 3. We're going to go up here to vehicles, and then we're going to go into learn. So we have the Model 3 and learn. So here you can see a video so you can see what it looks like. This is a Model 3 Performance in the deep blue metallic. You can see this interior, the phone dock, the games, center console, back seat, the all glass roof, and the front trunk. So you can kind of get a pretty good idea of what it looks like, all the different colors there, and what it looks like rolling away. Let's just scroll down a little bit here. You can see the body structure, aluminum and steel mixed composition, safety first design, blah, blah, blah. You can see all the Tesla superchargers. That applies to all Teslas, of course, but gives you some examples of some routes. And if you want to know what that's like in the real world, I do have quite a few Tesla road trip videos on my channel. You can see the 15-inch touchscreen. You can see the over-there updates, all glass roof. So it kind of just touches on some of the core features of the Model 3. Just make that a little bit bigger. It has excellent sound system. There are two different sound systems. We'll get into that in just a moment. The updates, acceleration, so that's the Model 3 Performance that they're talking about here with the 3.1 second 0 to 60 and 162 mile per hour top speed. Not all of them. Two motors, instant torque, all weather control. And a lot of this applies to all Teslas realistically. Here you can also see Tesla Vision. So this used to actually show the radar. It used to also show the ultrasonic sensors, but Tesla has switched to Tesla Vision. So it uses all cameras to control all of the autopilot system. You can now get auto steer on city streets because any Tesla can now get full self-driving right away. Of course, if you subscribe or purchase it. Here you have the different specifications. So you have the performance, you have the long range all-wheel drive, and you have the rear-wheel drive. So let's get into order Model 3. And we'll touch on Highland here in just one moment. So here you have the base Model 3 rear-wheel drive. This is what I think is the most compelling value probably in the entire Tesla product line. We're going to talk about inventory here shortly, but the Model 3 starting at $40,240 list price is a great value. It's eligible for the full $7,500 federal tax credit, assuming you as a person are also eligible, but the vehicle side is eligible. It's more than fast enough for most people, has plenty of range. It has an LFP battery, which means it has a lithium iron phosphate battery. And what that means for you is that you can charge it to 100% every day and not have to worry about excess degradation or anything like that. It's actually intended for that by Tesla. Just based on the kind of constant voltage profile, it actually needs to charge to 100% for the vehicle to understand the true state of charge. Anyway, LFP is also rated for a lot more cycles of the battery than NCM or traditional vehicle batteries, so it will have a longer service life as well. The rear-wheel drive means it's super efficient. It will be not as good in snow and ice and things like that, but I would say for most people, unless you live in like Colorado and you're going up to the mountains all the time, or you have some sort of like critical job that you have to be somewhere no matter what the weather conditions are and you live in a winter climate, I'd say getting winter tires will make this more than adequate for most people, especially in the age of a lot of people being able to work from home. If you have a job that's pretty flexible like that, you're going to be fine with this, even in a winter climate. But let's just talk on the options here. So Midnight Silver Metallic is now the included color on the Model 3 and the Model Y as the base color. Most recently before that, it was white, and before that it was black. So Tesla seems to just be rotating those. You can also get white for $1,000. You can get blue for $1,000. You can get black for $1,500, or you can get red for $2,000. If you're planning to wrap the car, I would recommend getting black because that way you won't see the white peeking through at any seams or anything like that. But otherwise, Midnight Silver is a great color. I had that on my previous Model S. It's not the flashiest, but it's a pretty nice color. It hides a lot of road dirt, things like that. So no real complaints there. As far as wheels go, Tesla has these 18-inch Aero wheels, and these plastic pieces are actually removable. So you can actually pull those off and have a pretty decent looking wheel underneath, or there's a bunch of different aftermarket wheel cover options as well if you want to change the style. But I would personally stick to the 18s. You're going to get the best ride comfort. They're no extra charge. You can swap out the covers if you want to change the style, or you can run them without covers, and I think they look pretty good. 18s are also the most comfortable and will be the cheapest tire replacement. So if you're looking at this from an economical vehicle perspective, stick with the 18s. There's also a 19-inch sport wheel option. I'm personally not a huge fan of them. I think they just look kind of generic, but if you want those, go right ahead. They'll reduce your range a bit. Your tires will be a bit more expensive to replace. And I'd say you're more likely to curb damage them, and your ride comfort will be a bit worse. So I'd say they have mostly downsides, but if you really want the style of the 19s, go right ahead. That's up to you. There's also two different interiors. So standard is this black interior. It has this wood dash, black seats, black door cards, things like that. Overall quite nice. And then optionally, you can get what Tesla calls the black and white interior. So it adds the white trim here on the dash, it adds white seats, but the rest is pretty much the same. I'm personally a huge fan of the white interior. I think it really opens up the interior, makes it feel a lot brighter, a lot more open. It tends to stay a bit cooler in my experience as well if you live in a climate with hot summers. But it's $1,000 extra, so if you're trying to save money, you could skip that, but I think it's $1,000 well spent personally. Here we have enhanced autopilot and full self-driving capability. So enhanced autopilot is only available as a one-time purchase, $6,000. That adds navigate on autopilot, which means that you can put in your navigation destination, you drive to the interstate, you engage autopilot, and then it will actually adjust lanes for you and take the exits for you as well, but it will not continue onto the city streets. For that, you need the FSD capability feature. Auto lane change, that's kind of part of the navigate on autopilot, but also means that you can simply signal, even if you're not using navigate on autopilot, while you're on autopilot, just normal base autopilot, which is adaptive cruise control plus auto steer. So it's keeping you in your lane, and it will actually use this cameras and sense your blind spots, things like that, and make sure there's an opening, and then it will move lanes for you without having to disengage, change lanes, and then re-engage autopilot. Auto Park Summon and Smart Summon don't exist on any Tesla sold currently. I don't know why they list these here, because you cannot get these on any car that has been sold since about October of 2022. On any car that doesn't have ultrasonic sensors. I think it's extremely schemy that Tesla lists these as if they're available today when they're not. And they haven't been for quite a while. You can also get full self-driving capability, which Tesla actually recently reduced the price on. It was previously $15,000. It's now $12,000. Worth mentioning that if you purchase enhanced autopilot, you can get full self-driving capability as a subscription for $99 a month. Or if you don't purchase either of these, you can get the full self-driving capability for $199 per month plus tax. Or you get 3 months of full self-driving capability for free if you purchase through a referral. So you can kind of try it out, see if it's worthwhile to you, and decide from there. Personally, I don't think I'd pay either of these prices, nor would I pay the subscription unless I had like a ton of road trips or something. The auto lane changes are pretty nice. But I currently have it through referral points, through you guys using my referral link. So I've been able to get full self-driving that way. So thank you for that. But I don't know if I'd pay for it. That's a lot of money, $12,000. That's almost a third of the vehicle price for a software feature. It's a stretch. If you're getting a loaded Model X or something, maybe a little more justifiable, but to pay $12,000 extra on a base Model 3 it's a bit questionable. Full self-driving capability also adds auto steer on city streets. So that's the FSD beta and traffic light and stop sign control. So it'll basically drive you anywhere in theory. I have it on my car. It works pretty well, but it also messes up a lot. So it has a novelty factor. It's cool. It's extremely capable when it works well, but it also really drops the ball pretty frequently, and to the point where you can't really trust it. And you also have to pay very close attention to it. So it's, in my opinion, more stressful and more taxing, if you will, to supervised full self-driving than it is to just drive the car yourself. Because if you're just driving yourself, you're passively monitoring all these things around you. You're not having to also consider what the car is going to do without you doing it. You're in control of the car. But anyway, enough on full self-driving. I could probably make a whole video talking about whether there's a value there or not. I recently made a video with my Model Y showing what is exactly included with that new Model Y. That video is still relevant today, but no Tesla sold today includes any sort of charging equipment. The only thing that's included is the J1772 to Tesla adapter that will allow you to use public non-Tesla charging stations that are the slow kind, like you charge at overnight or at an office or at a hotel or in your garage. Those are what you'd use that with. It's not the CCS adapter, just to clarify. But there's no charging equipment that would allow you to just plug the vehicle into a wall. For that, you would need the mobile connector, which is $230, which actually is a pretty great value for what you get there. Or you could get the Tesla wall connector, which is $475. That is hardwired. Let's see what this learn now. So this shows you a photo here. The wall connector is what I'd recommend for most people if you have a garage that you park in of a home you own. It's by far the best option. It charges it the fastest. However, worth noting, on the base Model 3, you will not get any additional charging speed from the wall connector versus the mobile connector, because the base Model 3 can only charge it up to 32 amps, and that's what the mobile connector can charge up to, assuming that you have a 40 amp or higher circuit. Mobile connector, you can also get a bunch of different adapters so that you can use different outlets. So if you have a dryer in your garage, you can get a splitter and use your dryer and the vehicle on there. Or you can even use a normal wall outlet. And that will suffice for a lot of people, as long as you don't have a kind of extreme climate, because it will struggle to charge the vehicle if the temperatures are very low and it has to thermally manage the battery while it's charging, versus putting all that energy towards the battery. But there you can see those different kits. Both are good value. If you need those options, I'd recommend just buying these. You're not going to find a better value for charging equipment than those, and they're extremely good quality, very well proven. But now that we've walked through the options there of the rear wheel drive, let's just talk a little bit more briefly about the all-wheel drive, long range, and the performance. So most of what we just said applies to all of these. Let's just switch to purchase price here rather than probable savings. So the long range is about $7,000 more than the rear wheel drive. Same prices and paint options for wheels, interior, things like that. Only real difference is that the Model 3 long range all-wheel drive, it has an NCM battery, so Tesla recommends charging to 80% daily on that. So 333 times 0.8. So that gives you 266.4 miles of everyday usable range, according to Tesla's recommendation. So the Model 3 rear-wheel drive for everyday use actually gives you more range if you're following Tesla's recommendation. Of course, if you're going on a trip, you can charge the long range to 100% and get more range. It will also charge a bit faster, up to 250 kilowatts versus up to 170 kilowatts, but that doesn't tell the full story. You need to look at the charging curve. Also gives you all-wheel drive, of course, as said in the name. So I would say if you need all-wheel drive, get the long-range all-wheel drive. If you don't need all-wheel drive, just get the rear-wheel drive. I'd say that's the most compelling value. It is faster as well, but most people, they don't need that speed. There's also the Model 3 Performance. So Model 3 Performance does change a few things. It adds a carbon fiber rear spoiler, adds different brakes, it adds 20-inch Uber turbine wheels, which are quite heavy, reduces your efficiency, improves your speed, or your top speed, and your 0 to 60 time, gives you different pedals. So overall, Model 3 Performance, great car, adds track mode. I'd say if you're interested in a Model 3 Performance, you know that you want a Model 3 Performance, you should get a Model 3 Performance. If you're in doubt that you need a Model 3 Performance, you should probably skip the Model 3 Performance, would be my kind of summary there. You can also swap these wheels to be smaller ones for more efficient driving. and for improved ride comfort. And I would recommend that for most people, unless you actually want those wheels for slightly better handling with the smaller sidewalls. Again, same interior options, same autopilot options, but you cannot choose your wheels on the performance. So yeah, that's the Model 3. I'd say for most people with the Model 3, get the rear-wheel drive. By far the best value. If you need all-wheel drive, get the long-range all-wheel drive. And if you think you're a performance person, get the performance. So the elephant in the room with the Model 3 is the Highland refresh. So last week, Tesla announced in every market, basically, aside from the US, the new Highland refresh, which has been long rumored. And here I have it pictured on the screen from Tesla's Instagram page. So Europe, China, Australia, New Zealand, and some of the changes. So updated exterior styling for better aerodynamics. So you can see this front bumper's redone, different headlights, slightly different front hood, slightly different fender. No fog lights, worth noting. But there you can see the new lights, the new wheels, new interior. We'll get to that in a second. And new rear taillights, new rear bumper. Some fairly subtle changes. The tailgates, or not tailgate, the hatch, not even hatch. The trunk lid is different. It's slightly more efficient. I think they're saying about 6%. However, it has the exact same powertrain. The Model 3 Performance Highland has not been announced in any of those markets yet. So there are some rumors that Tesla will be making a higher performance Model 3 Performance with the refresh, probably for those other markets first. We don't have a timeline for when this will actually come to the US market, because right now it's only available in that rear-wheel drive and the long-range all-wheel drive trim. And it is roughly the same price as it was previously, but again, with more range, and it has the same powertrain. So you're only getting improvements through the improved aerodynamics. Has new different wheels. Stealth Gray and Ultra Red are new colors. And it has a whole new interior. So that's something that's going to impact your everyday experience with the car. So it has new ventilated front seats. It has a round steering wheel, but without stalks and with capacitive steering controls, similar to the Model S and Model X. We'll get to that. Also has this nice ambient lighting. New center console that's pretty similar, but different. It has a rear touchscreen for your rear passengers. The vent is moved down. The outlets are moved down so that you can control the climate, media, things like that. But it is pretty aggressive looking. I think it looks a little out of place not having fog lights personally. I think they should have added those. Here's some more photos of the interior. It is very nice, and I would say if this was immediately available, sure, jump right on it. But I don't think this coming should necessarily stop you from getting a Model 3 today. Especially with the inventory cars that are available. So I have Tesla's inventory page pulled up here. And this is just showing vehicles in my local area near Charlotte right now. So you'll want to just punch in your zip code, and I'll link this either in the description or the pinned comment or both. So you can see these. I have it sorted low to high. And this is showing all of the different trim levels. So you can see $3,000 discount, $3,000 discount, again, roughly. $3,000-ish that's $4,000 discount, $3,000 discount. So you can kind of get options free-ish by looking at some of these discounted vehicles. Pretty much all of them have a discount. Let's look at long-range all-wheel drive. There aren't a ton of them, but this one's about $4,000 off. This one's about $5,000 off, so pretty compelling there. And let's look at performance. These are the most discounted. So this is where some real deals can be had. But worth noting on the Model 3 Performance is that for the Model 3, it falls into the $55,000 price cap for the federal tax credit, which means that's based on MSRP, not on sale price. So you'll want to look pretty closely at these because it's very easy to get a Model 3 Performance over $55K MSRP, even if you're getting it for substantially less than that. So here you can see about a $5,000 discount, about a $6,000 discount, but these ones have an over $55,000 MSRP. So you can see that right there in that crossed off price, $55,240. This one's 54,740. This one's 56,240. So you basically have to pick whether you want midnight silver metallic with a white interior, or if you want a different color with a black interior. Those are kind of your options if you want to stick under that $55,000 MSRP price tag, or even here with the white interior. Yeah, so white interior on the midnight silver, 54,240. These ones, 55,240, 56,240. So you can't get those and get the tax credit. Or we go to black interior, 54,240 with white interior, 55,240 with black interior. So you can't get a red exterior Model 3 Performance and get the tax credit. So if you see a red Model 3 Performance, it's a 2023, you know they're kind of balling because they did not get a tax credit because the MSRP was too high, and I think that's just a little silly. Tesla really should just reduce the prices or just make the colors free or something, so that way all of these can qualify for the federal tax credit. And realistically, they should all, but that's not how government programs work, as we all know. But anyway, enough on the Model 3. Let's go into the Model Y. So here we have the Model Y page pulled up. Again, it looks quite similar to the Model 3, as I just talked about. Larger cargo space, pretty similar range. Model Y currently is only available in all-wheel drive. You can see the body composition here. Again, very similar. You can see the fold-down seats. So tons and tons of space with the seats folded out. You can also get the Model Y in a 7-seat configuration. I would caution most people from getting the 7-seat configuration unless you have small kids, because that third row is not very useful in the Model Y unless they're small kids. It's just very small. Here you can see the Model Y performance, 3.5 seconds 0 to 60, so a little bit slower. Again, dual motor all-wheel drive. Talking again about superchargers, the range. Here's again that visualization of the different sensors of Tesla Vision, which are all cameras. You also see the interior here. It's a little bit more upright. This is that white interior, but very similar. And then the Model Y has a little bit different glass roof configuration. So rather than having kind of two panes with one that kind of divides over the middle or behind the driver seats, this is actually one giant pane, and then it splits for the hatch kind of right above the second row, if you will. So a little bit different, but again, all glass roof. Here we have the different specifications. Tesla has 3 different trims, very similarly to the Model 3 of the Model Y. You have the performance, that's the top dog, 3.5 seconds 0 to 60, 303 miles of range. You have the long range all-wheel drive, 330-mile range, 4.8 seconds 0 to 60, a little bit slower. 250 kilowatt max charging on the long range all-wheel drive and on the performance. And then we have the Model Y all-wheel drive, which is actually what I have personally, and I've made quite a few videos on. And the Model Y all-wheel drive, 5 seconds 0 to 60, 279 miles of range, and 230 kilowatts max supercharging speed with a slightly lower top speed of 135. Actually, that's the same with the long range all-wheel drive, but it is lower than the performance, which is 155, which is lower than the Model 3 performance of 162. Let's go into the configurator here. So Model Y all-wheel drive is the base model Model Y. It's a pretty compelling vehicle if you don't take a lot of road trips. That would be my #1 caution with the base Model Y. I have one personally, and realistically, it's the wrong vehicle for my use case because I do road trip a ton. However, I got it because I wanted the least expensive Model Y to kind of make content with, experience, make videos of. It also has the 4680 structural battery pack. So that has that new construction that Tesla talked about on Battery Day, but it's not living up to the claims of Battery Day because it is early 4680 cells. And it's by far the worst charging new Tesla you can buy. I made a whole video about that, so I'm not going to spend too much time here. But if you're going to be taking a lot of road trips and you want the fastest charging, don't get the base model all-wheel drive, get the long range. Not only will you have more range, but also the charging will be a lot better because the range on the all-wheel drive is fine. It's not great. I'd say it's about 200 miles real world. I need to do a range test on it. But the charging is really where it kind of falls apart. And again, Tesla could improve this with a software update over time, and I really hope they do. But as of right now, the charging is very poor. So similar options to the Model 3, same prices for the paint colors. Midnight Silver is the included color. You can get red for $2,000, black for $1,500, blue for $1,000, or white for $1,000. We also have some different wheel options. So you have the 19-inch Gemini wheels. These are also covers, and I actually just made a video pulling those covers off and comparing the efficiency to with the covers on and to an aftermarket wheel cover as well. So check that out if you're interested. These will give you the most range. They'll give you the best ride comfort. They're the included wheels. They'll give you the cheapest tire replacements. These are what I'd recommend for most people. You can also get the 20-inch induction wheels, which I personally find pretty silly. They're $2,000 to get. I know some people really like how they look. I'm personally not a huge fan. They also reduce your range 10 miles. They're more likely to be curbed. A lot of the Hertz rental Model Ys have these wheels, and almost all of them are curbed. They'll also make your ride comfort a little bit worse, and they will make your tire replacements more expensive. So very few logical reasons to get those, but if you want style, go right ahead and get them. You can also get a tow hitch for $1,000 that can tow up to 3,500 pounds. You can also get this after delivery for $1,300, and Tesla will install that at a service center. So if you get an inventory car, which we'll touch on here in a moment, that doesn't have a tow hitch, but you want a tow hitch, you can add that after the fact, and it will be the exact same as if you got it from the factory. With the all-wheel drive, you can only get the 5-seat interior, same with the Performance. And you can get it with the white interior like this, or you can get it with the black interior. The white interior, again, or black and white as Tesla calls it, is a $1,000 upgrade. I, again, am personally a huge fan of it, but that's totally personal preference. And again, enhanced autopilot, full self-driving capabilities, same exact as what we talked about with the Model 3. Same thing with the charging equipment. So there we have it. That's the base Model Y. We'll go to the Model Y long range, which is the vehicle that I would recommend for most people to get if they're looking at a Model Y. Same paint options, same wheel options, same hitch option, same interior color options. However, you can see here that there's now an option for a 7-seat interior. And as I alluded to, you can actually get the 7-seat, but it's not that useful for most people. You really need some small kids for this to be pretty useful. Oh, missed that link there, view third row. So it is a third row. It takes away from your cargo space because normally there's another kind of sub trunk in that area. But if you need 7 seats, you need 7 seats, and you don't really have a choice. So go ahead and get that for $2,500. I also want to mention that I forgot to mention on the Model 3. All of the Model Ys come with Tesla's premium interior. Let's see if we've got a breakdown here of that. Feature details. There we go. However, not every Model 3 comes with the premium interior. The base Model 3 comes with a partial premium interior, which basically means that it doesn't have the same sound system. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same. So here you can see all the standard features. And then the different connectivity options. So Tesla gives you 1 month of premium connectivity for free. Otherwise, you can purchase it for $100 a year or $10 a month. But there we have the Model Y long-range all-wheel drive. This is probably the best value Tesla you can buy if you need a small SUV. If you don't need that, get the Model 3 rear-wheel drive. And here we have the Model Y Performance, which is a pretty small price difference compared to the long-range all-wheel drive, especially if you were considering getting the 20-inch wheels. So if you were going to get these 20-inch wheels anyway, you could get the Model Y Performance for $2,000 more and get a whole lot of other features. So you can see the range here, 3.5 seconds 0 to 60, 155 mile per hour, 303 miles, versus the long-range all-wheel drive, 20 mile per hour lower top speed, which again barely matters. A little bit slower. You can also get a $2,000 acceleration boost software update for the long-range all-wheel drive if you'd like it. And the long-range all-wheel drive does have more range. However, you can get that range back if you swap the wheels on this. And I'd say for a lot of people, it probably makes sense to get the performance. It's likely to have better resale value long term, just given that it is the top trim of the Model Y. But I would be cautious that these wheels are a lot more prone to curb rash. They're going to reduce your ride comfort. They're staggered, so you actually have different size tires in the front and the back, and they're very expensive tires. These are like $400 a piece per tire. So I would recommend sell these right away, get some aftermarket 18s, 19s, 20s. 19 is probably the best option for most people. But if you really want some ride comfort, get some 18s. But I'm just really not a fan of these Uber turbine wheels, 21-inch. It's just too big in my opinion. But anyway, those are included. You can also get the tow hitch. You cannot get the 7-seat interior on the Model Y Performance, just like on the base all-wheel drive. And we have the same autopilot options. And then same charging options as well. And let's look at inventory options for the Model Y. So for the base all-wheel drive, there's quite a few different options. Let's just take off that color filter there. And take off that. So here you can see one that is about $5,000 discounted, which is a pretty compelling value. This one's also about $5,000 discounted. That's actually a long range all-wheel drive. That is the one I would buy out of these ones here. Let's look at white interior, what the cheapest one you can get there is. So you can get a white interior with red for actually less than I paid for my blue with white interior. And red's a more expensive color. So here we have the hitch option too. So the hitch option does seem to limit things. But like I said, you can get that after the fact, so not a huge deal there. Tesla does have some inventory cars with mileage. So these are demo cars. Be mindful of those. If you're fine with that, go right ahead and get one. But given the similar discount to just getting one without mileage, like here's pretty much the same car without mileage for $1,000 more, I would probably pay the $1,000 more to get a brand new car versus one with almost 4,000 hard miles on it from demo drives. And then let's look at the performance. Performance is not discounted as much as the Model 3 Performance, but you can still get some pretty good discounts, about $2,000 to $3,000. And of course, this is just a snapshot in time for September 4th, 2023. These change every day, and are very likely to become more aggressive towards the end of the quarter as we get closer to the end of September. I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla adds in some additional incentives like longer full self-driving trials, or maybe even some free supercharging credits. They've done that in the past. I wouldn't be surprised if they do it again. But that kind of wraps up on the Model Y. This is probably the best vehicle for most people. It is an extremely compelling vehicle. They've improved it substantially since when the Model Y came out. If you heard complaints of ride comfort early on, those are no longer valid in my opinion. The newer Model Ys drive very well. They're quite quiet. The build quality is great. I would not hesitate to recommend a Model Y to just about anyone, with the only caution being get the long range all-wheel drive or the Performance if you want to take road trips. Don't get the all-wheel drive if you want to take road trips. But if you only plan to drive it around town, or you work from home or whatever, or you fly anywhere you travel, all-wheel drive is totally fine too. And it can save you a little bit of cash. But with these discounts, there's really no reason to get the all-wheel drive. Just get the long range. But anyway, let's move on to the Model S. In case you didn't know this before, Tesla actually has these models lined up in order to spell sexy. So S3XY, because Tesla's a bunch of children. So let's go into Model S. We'll hit learn. And like I mentioned before, Tesla recently dropped the price of the Model S and Model X extremely substantially, over $10,000. And they now start at $74,990, which is a great value. We're almost back to the joke price of $69,420 that was from, I believe, 2020, maybe 2019, roughly around there. But that was kind of the lowest price. I don't know if it was technically the lowest price, but it's the most recent low price that Tesla has offered in the Model S. Model S is also available in the Model S Plaid. which if you're even vaguely aware of Teslas, you've probably heard of. It is the fastest production car you can buy, or fastest production sedan you can buy, over 1,000 horsepower, about 2 seconds 0 to 60, 200 miles per hour, which is questionable. You have to get their track pack, which I believe is $20,000 or something like that. So again, Tesla doing Tesla things and listing things that are slightly questionable. And the 1.99 seconds 0 to 60 is also with a 1 foot rollout. Again, also slightly questionable. They only do that on their performance cars. But Model S, in my opinion, is Tesla's best looking vehicle. It's also the kind of their original vehicle. And if you're just looking for an absolute road trip monster, get a Model S. Super comfortable, very efficient, charges great. You have superchargers, you have CCS, you have CHAdeMO if you want CHAdeMO. But it doesn't get much better as far as a road trip car. Here you can see the interior. It has 2 screens rather than just one. So it has the center screen for the main infotainment stuff, and then you also have an instrument cluster. You have a pretty similar phone dock situation. You have a center console there. You can get it with a yoke or a steering wheel. I would highly recommend getting a steering wheel. I think the yoke is very silly. It's just not that practical. And I really wish Tesla hadn't done the capacitive touch controls on the steering wheel. I think that's actually arguably worse than the yoke itself, is just the controls and removing the stocks. So here you can see those are your turn signals on the steering wheel as buttons, not as a stock. And there's also no drive stock, but not here to make a rant about that. I would recommend getting a steering wheel. That's just my personal preference. This is with the white interior with the wood trim. Let's keep scrolling here. So you can get the yoke steering, which they're quite proud of. Cinematic experience, perfect environment. I don't know if this Tesla website just isn't working properly. Let's see. Try refreshing that. Anyway, I don't know what's going on, but here you can see the hatchback functionality. I've fit an entire king mattress sticking out in my old Model S, but you can fold down the seats and have a ton of space. It has a great sound system with active noise cancellation, which is not that common. But 22 speakers, almost 1,000 watts. Then you've got your 36 watt USB-C charging. Okay. Here we have the Plaid, some of the bragging points there. It has track mode, so you can actually cool down the battery and keep it cool. The brakes are undersized for the Plaid, in my opinion, and based on what a lot of people have done on track. But you can upgrade them from Mountain Pass Performance, from Unplugged Performance, or from Tesla with their track pack. So you have plenty of options there. Here's the powertrain. You can see the Plaid has 3 motors. So you've got 2 in the back there and then 1 in the front. And then the base Model S, or sorry, I had that flipped. So here we have the front motor. And then here we have the Plaid, which has 2 motors in the back. And you can see the different power ratings here. And the Model S actually, or the base Model S dual motor all-wheel drive actually has insane mode, which was previously only on the performance cars. So the P85D and P90D, before they went to ludicrous, they had insane mode, which was a performance car thing. You can see the aerodynamics. It's extremely slippery. Some of the different aero bits. You can see the 21-inch wheels. It's a great looking car. Here we have the supercharged. I don't know why this website isn't loading properly, but anyway. You can see the construction. It's pretty much all aluminum. Different sensors are all cameras. And then you have the different autopilot features, as I've touched on already as well. But again, Auto Park doesn't currently exist. Summon doesn't currently exist. You'll get navigate on autopilot and auto lane change. And here we have some of the specifications. Both of them charge it up to 250 kilowatts. Here we have that little bit of a caveat with when equipped with paid hardware upgrades for the top speed. And then this is again with rollout subtracted, which is not the case for the base all-wheel drive, 3.1 seconds. So they're actually closer than Tesla makes it seem. You can see a quarter-mile time, peak horsepower, same cargo space, 3 motor on the Plaid versus 2 motor on the all-wheel drive. But let's go into build Model S. So base all-wheel drive, 405 mile range, 149 mile per hour top speed, and 3.1 seconds 0 to 60. If you're paying close attention, you would know that that 3.1 second 0 to 60 is the same as the Model 3 Performance. So it's plenty fast in my opinion. You can get any color for free with the Model S and with Model X. We'll get to that in a bit. Ultra Red is also a Model S and Model X exclusive for now. And Ultra Red is by far my favorite color on the Model S and Model X. It's a super deep red with multi-coat, or like with multiple layers of flake. It actually has a tinted clear coat as well, so a ton of depth there. And it's only recently become available. So if you're getting a Model S or X, I would definitely recommend getting the Ultra Red if you like red cars. But white is the default color, but they're all free. So I guess they're technically all default colors at this point. Yeah, let's go to the purchase price. So that starts at $74,990. And really the only options that add cost here, if you want to upgrade the wheels, so you can go from the 19-inch Tempest wheels, which these are actually what the wheel covers on my Model Y are styled after, or you can get the 21-inch Arachnid wheels for $4,500. Not going to argue, they do look great. I'm not sure they're worth $4,500, and the range hit, I'd personally stick to the 19-inch wheels. You'll get more efficiency and better ride. You can always swap them to aftermarket as well. Martian makes great wheels for less than $4,500, and you'll get better range with the 19-inch wheels. So I think that's worth sticking with those. These look pretty good under the covers as well. They're kind of a dark gray wheel. I think they're split 5-spoke if I remember correctly, or very close to that, maybe split 7-spoke. But there's plenty of pictures online. You can also get a cream interior on the Model S and Model X. Personally, not a huge fan of it, but some people like it. It does seem to hurt resale value if you get a cream interior, so worth noting that. White interior looks great on the Model S and Model X. These also have ventilated seats. There's the black interior, of course. And you can get a yoke steering wheel if you want to pay an extra $250. So I'm glad they made the steering wheel default. And again, same autopilot options, same charging options. But Model S is pretty easy to keep at the $74,990. Personally, if I were to order one, I would get probably Ultra Red with white interior with the 19-inch wheels with the red or with the round steering wheel. And that's $76,990, which I think is a pretty great value for the amount of car you're getting. Obviously not cheap, but value doesn't mean cheap. So keep that in mind. And I think it's a great car. Road trip monster. Let's go to the Plaid. So Plaid adds apparently better brakes. I haven't seen any testing of those specifically. They recently made that change. It has 3 motors, slightly different suspension tuning. I guess not. Okay. Anyway, it adds a carbon fiber rear spoiler, which looks great. You get red brakes instead of black. You get carbon fiber interior trim. You can keep the 19-inch wheels on the Plaid, which I think is awesome. So unlike the Model 3 and Model Y, where you have to go to the performance wheels, on the Model S, you can actually keep the base wheels. So you can get kind of a sleeper look that has the base wheels on the most powerful version. Same thing with the interior here. You get carbon fiber interior on any of them, including on the cream. Same prices and same autopilot options, same charging options, but this adds about $14,000, or sorry, $15,000, and you can get either the Model S or the Model X Plaid for the same price. So worth noting there. But let's go talk about Model X. And before we go into Model X, let's look at the inventory for Model S. And right now, Tesla is not discounting the Model S inventory because of that recent price drop. However, I would keep a close eye on this if you're considering getting one and flexible on your exact configuration, because I suspect there will be some incentives as we get closer to the end of the quarter. Just because they're not there now doesn't mean they're not coming. And Tesla has a precedent that towards the end of the quarter, they often come. Here's one with 274 miles with about $2,000 off. So that is a discount, but that's because of mileage. But otherwise, none of these are discounted. But I'd be very surprised if Tesla doesn't discount these towards the end of the quarter, just given that Model S and Model X are just not selling that well recently, and Tesla wants to incentivize people to buy them. But now over to Model X. So we'll go back in here into Learn. There you can see the Falcon Wing doors. I'm surprised this isn't a video playing, but you can see how those open. They have two different positions, so that's the default kind of low opening position, I believe. Or maybe that's not even fully there. But anyway, you can have it do that, or you can have it open all the way up. You can see the huge windscreen. It doesn't really do it justice here. But very similar to going from Model 3 to Model Y, going from Model S to Model X, it elevates your seating position, but otherwise the accompaniments are pretty similar. But the Model X does add this huge windshield. Let's see if this steering or this website wants to work for me. I don't know why it's not working properly today. But again, 22 speaker, almost 1,000 watts. And you've got your phone docks. Great looking car. It has the same Plaid powertrain available. So 9.9 seconds, 0 to 60, quarter mile time in an SUV that can seat up to 7, which is wild. Actually, Model X Plaid is only available in 6 seats. So that can seat up to 6. And 2.5 seconds, 0 to 60. So a little bit slower, primarily due to the weight. Here you can see those powertrains again. So 3 motor versus 2 motor, just like that. Same exact as the Model S. Trailer hitch is included on every Model X with up to 5,000 pounds of towing. And the Falcon Wing doors, you can load stuff pretty easily. Here's the aerodynamics of the Model X. So obviously a bit less aerodynamic just due to the higher profile than the Model S. You can see that huge windshield goes all the way back. It goes all the way back basically to the B-pillar. Again, you can see that huge opening for that windshield. It goes all the way from here all the way down. So you can kind of look all the way above you and see out. And then there's those Falcon Wing door openings, and this is all aluminum. Tesla Vision, of course, and specs down here. So base Model X, 348 miles of range, rated 670 horsepower, 155 top speed, 3.8 seconds, 0 to 60, and weighs about 50 pounds, and 250 kilowatt supercharging. Model X Plaid, about 100 pounds heavier, about 400 horsepower more, same towing, 6 seat, 2.5 seconds, 0 to 60, again with rollout subtracted, so the difference is less than they make it seem, and a bit less range, 15 miles less than the base Model X. We'll go into the order page. So here we have the base Model X, $79,990, and again, to get the federal tax credit, you have to keep it under $80,000. And that does not include software options. So you can get enhanced autopilot or full self-driving if you want to. But to get the tax credit on this, you cannot select any options here. You can get a paint color because again, they made them all free. So you can get it ultra red. Tow hitch is also included now, but you can't get any color interior. You have to get black, 5-seat, round steering wheel if you want to get the tax credit on a Model X. You cannot get the yoke, that puts it over 80,000. You cannot get the 6 or 7 seat because that also puts it over 80,000. You cannot get the white interior or the cream interior because again, puts it over $80,000. But you can get the software options. So we'll add that here and it will still give you this, your design qualifies for $7,500 federal tax credit for eligible buyers. Because again, this is up to eligible buyers because there are income limits. And there's a fair amount of Model X buyers that may not qualify for the tax credit based on the income limits. So if you don't qualify, then none of this about tax credits matters. But here's also the price caps as I've been mentioning as we've been going through this. So this is all on the tool for you. But let's just go through the configurator without regard for the tax credit. You have 2 different wheel options. You have the base 20-inch wheel. These are not caps, so that is an actual aluminum wheel. And then you also have 22-inch turbine wheels. Again, I would stick to the 20-inch because better range. I think they look fine. You'll have cheaper tire replacements as well. Interior, I like the white interior personally. 6-seat is super cool because it gives you captain's chairs in the back. However, it's worth noting that the 6-seat interior, this one here, the center seats do not fold. So if you want to carry large things, often you'll want to get the 5 or the 7 seat because then you have a folding middle row. Not everyone realizes that the middle row doesn't fold on the Model X with the 6 seat, which is a bit unfortunate because I really wish they did fold. 7 seat is cheaper also, so that's pretty compelling. I would probably just stick to the 5 seat. I have no need for more seats. I like the steering wheel, and then I'd skip these features, but it at least kind of makes more sense if you want to splurge on software options on a nearly $100,000 car than on a closer to $30,000 car. So you could do that, still have it be relatively reasonable. And that's how I would build base Model X. Let's go into the Plaid, reset this a bit. So the Plaid starts at, remove full self-driving, $89,990. But it's worth noting that the Model X Plaid includes the 6-seat interior. So let's just look at the dual motor with the 6-seat. And with the 6-seat interior on the dual motor, that puts it at $86,490. So it's only $3,500 to go to the Plaid. And I think that's a great deal. If you want the 6 or the 7-seat interior, just get the Plaid. It's probably going to be better for resale. But if you're building a Model X with the target of getting the tax credit, then stick to the long-range all-wheel drive, or you'll lose the tax credit. So that's a big caveat there. Again, back to Plaid. All the colors are included. I'd get ultra red personally. Wheels at the same price, $5,500 for those 22-inch Uber turbines. Or sorry, not Uber turbines. That's on the Model 3 and Model Y. Just the turbines. Tow package, again, included. 6-seat is the only option on the Model X Plaid. Not sure why they did that. I guess just for streamlining production. Same software options, same charging options. And let's look at inventory for Model X. And similar to the Model S, there are no discounts on Model X right now because they just slashed the prices. However, I do suspect that Tesla will be adding some discounts or other incentives onto these towards the end of the quarter. Not seeing any discounted inventory or demo cars even in here right now, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, to kind of sum all of this up, I would say if you're in the market for a new Tesla, if you're looking for a budget option, I would get the Model 3 rear-wheel drive. Extremely compelling car, extremely good value. You can charge it to 100% daily. It's super efficient, and it's just a great car. But if you need an all-wheel drive car or you need a hatchback, get the Model Y. I would get the long-range all-wheel drive unless you know that you're not going to be taking road trips, because it's going to charge better. It's going to have more range, probably going to have better resale. Look at that here. So long range all-wheel drive, you can get whatever color you want, obviously, if you're willing to pay for it. Stick to the base wheels on all of them, I would say. I would skip the software options, get the charging kit depending on your needs. With the Model S is purely an emotional purchasing decision. I don't think there's really a logical reason to go with the Model S over either the Model 3 or Model Y or the Model X. But the Model S is a great looking car. It drives great. It's a road trip beast. And it's great, but it's not the best value. There's no tax credit available on it, and you're probably going to lose a fair amount of money on it in depreciation. And it doesn't really functionally do anything that the other cars can't. Whereas the Model X, if you get the long range all-wheel drive and you keep it basic, you can get the federal tax credit. However, if you need more seats, get the Plaid because it's a very small increase in price, but likely to help on resale. Again, stick to the base wheels. But tax credit, Model 3 Performance, keep it under 55. Model X, keep it under 80. And that kind of sums things up on this. I would love to hear if you guys have any questions for me. Comment down below, reach out on Twitter. If you haven't already, hit the like button on this video, hit the subscribe button on this video. And again, my Tesla referral is down below. So if you were helped by this video and feel compelled to order one, highly recommend using my discount or my referral, because then you will get a discount. Sorry, stumbling my words here as we've been talking for almost an hour. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.